Over the past couple of years, Hyperkin has been on a mission. Bring back the glory days of Xbox. For a lot of people, those old school glory days were Halo Combat Evolved on the original Xbox or Halo 3 on the Xbox 360, and Hyperkin had you covered there. They released the Duke, a remake of the oversized original Xbox controller, and the Xenon, a remake of the Xbox 360 controller. But now the company brought back another OG, introducing the DuchesS, otherwise known as the controller that you probably played Halo 2 with on the original Xbox. Now, if you're newer to the world of Xbox, there were two different controllers that defined the first generation of Microsoft's console. There was the big boy that was known as the Duke, the one that Hyperkin already brought back from the dead to celebrate the 20th anniversaries of Halo and Xbox. But right after the Xbox console launched, people complained that the controller was just too big, because it was. That thing was massive. So Microsoft shrunk down the form and function of their first Xbox controller to make the Xbox Controller S, something that's smaller and closer to what people probably think of when they think about an Xbox controller. And that is where the DuchesS comes into play, because now they have the Duke and the DuchesS. It's quality dad joke material there. But for real, Hyperkin has once again brought back a classic with a new coat of paint and some major modern improvements that make it fit for modern gaming on a console or PC. They sent me this one for review, so let's go ahead and check it out. Cracking open the box, you've got a lot of similarities between the Xenon, the 360 remake, and the DuchesS when it comes to packaging. You've got a smaller inside cover that pays homage to the legacy of Xbox with the dates before cracking things open and finding the real star of the show here. One thing that's always impressed me about Hyperkin is the way these controllers are packed for shipping. The controller is comfortably held in place, but then these small pads hold the analog sticks in place to keep them from getting crushed or pinned down during shipping. It's a very nice touch that makes sure this controller gets to where it needs to be without getting tossed around too much. And here it is, the DuchesS in all her glory. Now these come in two different colors, typically black and white, and Hyperkin sent over the white model for this review, which is a nice compliment to the Xbox Series S. Right off the bat, this thing is a throwback. In fact, putting it side by side with the original Xbox Controller S, it's pretty much an exact replica when it comes to the face buttons. You've got your X, Y, A, and B. The analog sticks are exactly where you remember them. The strange buttons on the side, we'll get to those in a minute, but everything is exactly where you left it back in 2004. But things start getting weird when it comes to the shoulder buttons, because this new modern take on the Xbox Controller S has two massive shoulder buttons for LB and RB instead of the approach for the original controller that has nothing. It was just a giant chunk of plastic. Beyond that, there are two other subtle changes for this controller. You've obviously got the share button right in the middle for capturing screenshots or gameplay on the newest Xboxes or Windows PCs, but on top of that, the Xbox button with the OG logo also doubles as the Xbox button you'd see on any kind of standard controller. One of the changes that you can't see is that these new controllers come packing Hall effect joysticks. Now, these things have been making the rounds online over the past couple of years as the antidote to stick drift, a problem that basically any standard gaming controller has struggled with over the past couple of years. It's not something that I've ever dealt with myself, but the Xbox Elite Series 2 is notorious for having issues, and that's not something you'll have to deal with here. But beyond that, these thumbsticks just feel good. They are buttery smooth, and there's no deep analysis here or testing or anything, just playing games feels really nice. But we can't talk about this controller without talking about its biggest problem. It is wired. Xbox uses proprietary technology to connect controllers and wireless headsets directly to the console instead of something like Bluetooth, and they don't license that tech out to just anyone. Unfortunately, that means the DuchesS is stuck with a USB cable. But it's not all bad news. It is a USB-C cable, and it's a detachable USB-C cable. And it's already 10 feet long right out of the box. So you've already got a decent cable to start with, and you can replace the cable if it runs into issues, or you can slap a longer one or a shorter one on to fit the bill for how you play. So while it might not be as good as having a wireless controller, it's definitely not the biggest hang-up in the world. Now for the big question, the one that matters the most, honestly. How does it feel to play? And it's exactly what you would expect. It's the original Xbox controller, but with modern games. Ironically, I was putting this old controller through the ringer on one of the newest games out there, Black Ops 6. With the beta going on, it was the perfect time to really put this controller to the test, and after a couple of matches, I started getting into the flow of things. And it might feel slightly different than the standard Xbox controller that comes packed in with the Xbox Series X or S, but the new shoulder buttons and old school placement just kind of click over time. It really starts to feel natural. The only real complaint isn't something that Hyperkin did, it goes back to the original design of the controller itself. I mean, come on. Who put these buttons here? On the left you have start and select, and on the right you have duplicates of the left bumper and the right bumper. And honestly, this could be something of a perk in something like an FPS because the grenades are literally just one thumb tap away. Again, it's just not the natural movement that's become standard over the past 18 years of gaming, but it's definitely not bad. Even so, in something like Black Ops 6 where you're trying to change loadouts on the fly or navigate menus, it just doesn't feel natural to click start or select down there on the bottom left. But again, not a Hyperkin problem. More of a question for the original Microsoft designers, because what was the idea here? Obviously, the big draw for this controller is the nostalgia factor. It's a modern version of the original Xbox controller. For me, this thing really exists to make the most of the backwards compatibility library. I mean, come on, Halo 2 or Crimson Skies on this controller is a nostalgia trip like no other. It captures the look and feel of the controller that drove Xbox to fame without sacrificing the functionality that it takes to become someone's main controller when they're gaming every day. So when it comes down to it, is this thing worth getting? And if you're an old school Xbox fan or just want to get a feel for what it was like gaming on the original Xbox back in the day, Hyperkin has once again delivered on putting a fresh coat of paint on a piece of classic gaming hardware. And they did it at a price that won't break the bank. I was sent this unit for review, but these run $50 brand new. That's about $10 to $15 cheaper than a brand new Xbox controller. For a novelty item that also packs some serious functionality, I don't think that's a bad price. And between the authentic look, modern functionality, and build quality, you can't really go wrong with this one. But that's just my review. I would love to know what you think about these controllers down below. Have you tried out any of the Hyperkin remakes, and what do you think about the DuchesS? Do you stick to modern controllers for modern gaming, or would you want to go back and experience modern games like the good old days? I'd love to hear what you think down below. And of course, as always, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, you like what you see and what you hear, hit that subscribe button for videos like this every week and gaming news shorts throughout the week to keep you in the loop, and I'll catch you on the next one.